Was there ever a time that it wasn't going to be racing for him?
Yeah, I wasn't overly keen, to be perfectly honest. I mean, he used to ride bikes and ride the ponies round. Of the three kids, I think that at the time the most natural rider was actually the eldest, Tegan.
Okay.
And Lyle sort of grew into it and became very good. But I mean, he always had a love for horses, as all three of them did actually. But I mean, later years, he was so clever at school. I thought, well, he could pretty much be anything.
I thought I knew a lot about Carl Hewitson until I enjoyed a cup of Nancy Lee. You know what's Nancy Lee? Tea with him before the podcast, and I learned that I don't know much about him and his career. So that's why we've got Carl Hewitson to join us this morning, so we can all learn about him and hear about him. Carl, thank you for your time. It's lovely to have you here.
More than welcome, and thank you.
We need to speak English on this podcast.
That's for sure.
Well, at least we can have a bit of Cockney rhyming slang, because at least Carl will understand it.
Yeah, we enjoyed the Nancy Lee.
Yeah.
Let's go straight into the accent, because it's the most beautiful accent. I love to listen to different accents and from around the world. And do you find it difficult to communicate with with staff and with people with your lovely rich accent?
I don't know. I suppose you'd have to ask them. I mean, it all sounds okay to me. I don't know what it comes across as, but yeah. I was born and bred in the UK, so, and obviously with all my travelling, I've just never lost it, because I've been working with international jockeys and trainers, etc. So yeah.
Well, at least you don't come from Yorkshire or Newcastle. We'd never understand you.
No, you wouldn't have a chance.
Okay, lovely to have Carl here, and thanks again for your time. And let's talk about a couple of things, because before you got married, before you had kids, and we go right back to the beginning, you started in the UK riding.
Yeah, as a young boy, the age of probably 13 and a half, I went out on my holidays out to Henry Candy's, and I ended up staying there till I was like 17, and then from there I went on to Mark Usher, I think was his assistant at the time, and I went and spent some time with Mark Usher. Only had a handful of rides in the UK, and from there I went overseas. I think I was 17 and a half.
Where did Henry Candy?
He's just on the outside of.
It was in Newmarket.
No, Lambourne.
Lambourne.
Yeah,
okay.
The edge of Lambourne. It's a fully self-contained private establishment, one of the best I've ever seen,
right.
If not the best. It's amazing.
You went to countries like Malaysia, Mauritius. Let's elaborate on that.
Yeah, well, I left the UK and I went to Belgium. It was supposed to be for a short working stint, and well, that turned into 4 years. It tends to happen with me. And then I rode a couple of winners for a chap that was in Belgium at the time called Ian Bazana, and he came back to South Africa and invited me out here. So it was another 3 month, turned into 30-something year stay. And in between, I've been to Malaysia. I did 6 years in Malaysia.
Sure.
And I did, I think I rode 5 seasons in Mauritius. So in between living here all those years, I was away a lot as well. But it's always been kind of a base for me, you know.
What did you do in Malaysia? I mean,
I was riding.
You riding?
Yeah, I'd have to say it was probably one of the toughest places I've been to ride, because of the system they've got with licensing jockeys.
Sure.
You hardly know from one meeting to the next whether you're going to get licensed or not. And sorry, and with my weight, it was a nightmare for me. So yeah, it was very tough.
Carl, your family. Let's just touch on your mom and dad, and are they still around? Are they, and were they actively involved in you becoming a jockey? Were they involved in racing?
My father drove for a short while when we were in Lambourne for what was then LRT. In my family, either side involved in racing,
Okay.
but it was my dad who pushed me into going out there, because I used to spend my summer holidays just kicking the ball around and doing pretty much what you shouldn't be doing as a young lad. So he wasn't having any more of that, and he put me in stables. I little bit against it at the time, but I mean, I loved it, absolutely loved it. Been in it ever since.
Any brothers and sisters?
No.
So
No.
you only, okay, just the one.
Yeah, and then,
Yes.
My mom is back in the UK. They were both out here. My parents were both out here. My dad passed away out here, and then shortly after, my mom went back to the UK. So I get across when I can to go and see her.
Okay.
But obviously, it's been difficult of late.
Sure. You come from a. Do you know, we were chatting to that young rider, Zuma, the apprentice Zuma. What is his first name?
Mfunela.
Mfunela. if I heard correctly, he's one of like 28 children.
Yeah, see, well, he bloody sucked on the bloody hind tip because he didn't get too much bigger than 46 kilograms. So.
I overheard him talking to one of the trainers, and he comes from a huge family.
Well, my parents' families are big. My mother's side, she's one of 11. My dad was one of 9.
Sure.
So, yeah, big families.
We must get...
we
must tell Tawanda to...
Must get Infamila.
Get young Infamila Zuma on. We'd love to chat to him and find out about his family.
He wants to go and join Wisey and the boys in Florida.
In Florida, okay. Well, he must hang on. He rode a very good race yesterday, I think, for Gareth Van Zyl. Okay, then...
Glenn Codson.
No, it was Gareth Van Zyl in the purple colours for the Palmers. Ancient Epic, wasn't it?
Well, you're thinking of a different race. So.
Okay. Then you also spent a lot of time in Port Elizabeth and with Yvette. Was Yvette the only yard that you worked in PE?
No, early days when I was riding there, I rode mostly for Hecky Straderman, pretty much freelance, and Hecky was very instrumental in getting me going. He was very helpful because Ian Pisana went out the game. I don't know if you remember some years back, I don't know if you were involved in racing, and we had the virus come around and there was no racing for like 3 months, and it put a pay to his training career. But Hecky was very good and he got me going. We had a fantastic time for many seasons. And it was actually through Hecky I got to come up here and from here onto Mauritius, and things moved on like that.
Yeah, Hecky, good Afrikaner with a good Englishman.
Yeah, it was a good mix. And then, Yvette at the time, she was just an assistant at Greefsjaard, Stanley Greefsjaard. So I've known her all those years, and most of the people down there for that matter, because not many people move around in PE. So.
Carl, what about... we don't like to talk about negativity and bad things that have happened, but it happened, so we can't get around it. That dreadful time when those strikes broke out. I mean, you were there.
Yeah,
Could you feel it brewing? I mean, or was it sort of a sudden occurrence?
Well, it was an ongoing thing over a space of about 8 months, and then it did come to a head, and I have to admit it was very scary. It was very, very scary. Whereas myself, there was Rocky, there was Wayne, his brother. There was a couple of other chaps, I think Josh Sutton, who was working with us at the time. The guys that were all working for Yvette all chipped in and did their bit. It was terrible, we were running around catching horses and that, but I'm glad it's all behind us now. It was a really, really bad time, and a terrible time for the horses. They were proper shell-shocked. I mean, when they come up here, it took them time to adapt.
Yeah.
So that sort of like tipping point for Yvette, she turned it up and handed it over to you.
Yeah, it was a bit much. I was actually taking my license out in Port Elizabeth before it kicked off properly.
Oh, right.
I was going to start training down there. And then I got the option to come up here with, if the owners wanted to come with, which thankfully a few of them stayed in. So we got a chance to start training up here. It was a big jump, somewhere I didn't really know the tracks and so on, where I knew PE like the back of my hand. This was like pretty much thrown in the deep end. But we're getting through.
How many years have you been now in KZN? Because I remember the day when you first arrived here with a handful of horses, and I remember that day like it was yesterday. How long ago was it, Carl?
It's only a year and a half.
She says only a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last October was a year.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my first full season.
Okay, interesting, because it feels like you've been part of the KZN team for a long time.
Well, I suppose that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, it's a good thing. Okay.
And how was the transition? Sorry if you don't mind me asking.
Well, it's been difficult. It was very difficult to start, but I mean, I feel like I've pretty much got the swing of things now, and you land somewhere new and you learn on the job. So, yeah, it's going the right way. It's tough, but I mean, we're going the right way.
Yeah. And the challenges?
Yeah, the challenges.
There's plenty, there's plenty. Yeah, the challenges are trying to get horses in your yard instead of having them go out. Trying to get owners to reinvest. It's very tough. It's very tough.
How do you deal with them?
In what way?
Like, what? I mean, some people have stopped training because of this. You know, what has been that one thing that has kept you going? Is it because you just relentlessly just keep pushing and keep trying?
Well, I have to give credit to my horses. And actually my staff. My horses have kept us going because they've been earning. I'm unfortunately, like a few of the guys here, my single biggest owner in my yard at the moment. But the horses have been earning, and one pays for the other and so on. So until such time, we'll just bat along.
Yeah, that's a song of all the trainers in this country.
Absolutely.
You own half the
absolutely.
string.
But let's talk a bit about that, because and you mentioned owners reinvesting, and it's by no means a derogatory or a negative comment. It's a simple fact. We owners and we battle to reinvest, and there are other owners that are on a much bigger, smaller, medium scale, whatever scale you're involved in. Is not everybody can reinvest.
No,
so
sure.
It's not. If you're already owning a racehorse and you're in racing, you're obviously doing it because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
They're not reinvesting because they just got the needle. It's because their money is tight.
I've got a couple of, in my short career, I'd call stalwarts that have stuck by me, like Mike and Laura, and Headley's kept a couple of shares in horses, Brahm and Bryn. Yeah, there's Mark Wright's still in from early days, and they've been from the time I got up here till now.
Yeah.
So
it is tough.
I think one of the biggest bleats that I'm just talking to all the trainers around here is that it's difficult to find races for horses.
Yeah.
In this country, the program chops and changes so quickly. From one week to the next, races are changed from a 68 to a 75 and vice versa, and you don't know where you are.
This time of year,
about it,
this time of year it is tough, but that's where, like someone like myself, we're fortunate. I've got no big horses as such in the yard.
Yeah.
Got a lot of small handicapped horses, but I mean, you're racing for the same stakes whether you're a 65 or you're a 104.
Yes.
So that way, that's what's keeping the small guys going. You're racing for the same stakes,
but
obviously.
The thing is, you have to get those horses out of the box.
Yeah, you got to get them out of the box. Yeah, you got to hope for some consistency, and if you can get a horse to the races once a month or every 3 weeks, and you can find a race for them, and they tick over, it keeps you going.
Yeah.
Talking about the stakes and all the rest of it, I laughed yesterday at the races. I was chatting to a friend of mine whose horse won here yesterday, and they were very unlucky on debut. So I said to him, "Oh, you were unlucky on debut in Gauteng." He said, "Well, that's okay." He said, because there they were, the prize was was the rump steak, and we've come to KZN. We're happy now because we've got the T-bone and the fillet.
Yeah.
So that was, and it is the point I'm making is that it's you want to see bang for your buck. You want to see return on your investment, which is not always possible.
Yeah, sure.
It's not always possible.
But owners get frustrated when the horse only runs sort of once every 2 months. Simply because there's no race for them.
Yeah, that's also true. Absolutely. Let's talk then about your yard. You see, you've had some stalwart owners, and those names that you've mentioned, they've been not only good to you, they've been good to racing in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they were all with a vet over all the years. I was assistant to a vet, I think, nearly 13 years, and those guys were there that whole time. So, and they kept buying, and and they brought horses up here. Mike and Laura and Headley and Jan and Kate, they've sent me horses since I've been here. So yeah, I've been lucky to have them.
Is Brahm, is he still around, or does he live in Australia?
I don't know where he is. He's all over the place, Brahm.
Okay.
Yeah, you never know where he is.
And now and again a message pops up from Brahm. Yeah, he still keeps his hand in his eye, and don't worry about that. What I wanted to ask you, Carl, is I don't have to say that. I can just ask him. I don't have to say what I wanted to ask you. I can just say I just ask him.
Just ask me.
Good idea.
Okay, let me start that again. Let me ask you. The transition from being an assistant to a fully fledged trainer on your own. Obviously, you must have had a few butterflies flying around.
Yeah.
How did you handle that? How did you cope with it?
Yeah, of course you worry about it. But I mean, I worked so closely with Yvette over the years. I mean, we were pretty much doing things together. So it was a worry, I must admit. It was a bigger worry when I had to come up here than what it was at the thought of staying in Port Elizabeth.
Sure.
It would have been a bit easier. But but you just tackle it. You don't think about it. You just get on with it. It's a case of do or die, pretty much.
I remember asking that question to Craig Udy many years ago when he was still working with Alistair Gordon. I said to him, "Why don't you take out your trainer's license?" He said, "No." He said, "I don't have to deal with owners. I don't have to deal with staff." I said, "I just cruise along and check out the horses." I think he learned the hard way after that.
Yeah, I must admit, I had a lovely job as an assistant. There were some great years. I mean, we had some proper group horses. Plenty.
Yeah.
Would you, if you could choose now, would you choose to stay as an assistant or carry on being a trainer?
That's a tough one. This is really hard work, and an assistant was just hard work. So, yeah, and it's steady, whereas being a trainer isn't steady. You know you're getting your wages every month, regardless, whereas here, you're hoping you're getting wages every month. So, yeah, it's a tough call. I'm happy I've done it. because I was going to do it anyway. So I'm happy I've done it. So I can't look back. So if you start having regrets, you might as well throw in a towel now. So you just got to push on.
Talking about some top horses that you and Yvette had down in Mbeka, as it's now called. Touch on a couple of them. That good horse that went to Joburg.
Yeah, we had National Park.
National Park. I mean, it was just a list of good horses.
Yeah, Graham Beck, the Guineas he won. Princess Rebel, took her to Cape Town. She won, was it the Southern Cross?
Yeah.
Copper Parade.
So he won that
Computer Form.
Copper Parade. He won that 2-year-old race on Met Day. Is it?
Yeah. He was with, I think he was with Alan then.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and we even took Princess Rebel up to Joburg for the Computer Form, and she went down the short to the short heads, got caught on the post. So she was a very good filly.
Sorry, just to change the subject completely, I was meant to tell you at the bottom of the show, at the beginning of the show, not the bottom of the show. We missed you actually last week. You would have enjoyed being. Did you? You say you haven't seen the interview I did with Pat Shaw?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Minus 10 points for both of you. When you get it, I know you're busy and it was quite a long one, but try and watch snippets of it because we'll try and watch the whole thing. But I know in your schedule, try and watch a few minutes here and there because it was damn informative. And you missed it. We were treated like kings. We had tea on tap. Cheese muffins, glorious surroundings.
Well, if I'd known there was food there, I would have suddenly come good.
But you're much better now.
No, I was man down, I promise you.
Man down. Well, it's nice to have you back on your feet, so welcome back. I'm sorry I didn't do that at the top of the show. Let's now talk about Summerveld. So you come to Summerveld. Was there an option to go to Ashburton, or were you always going to be Summerveld?
I just took it for granted I was coming here.
Okay.
So, this is where I've landed.
Carl, what is, I mean, the views, I mean, we can see and the facilities and... look, nothing's faultless, but I mean, near to faultless.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Look, I rode here some years back, so I knew it from then, but I mean, that was many moons ago. And I've been lucky enough to come up here. I had an old yard that was pretty much falling apart, and Gold Circle have been kind enough to give me a barn. I think the Anthony's were there before.
Okay, are you down there?
Yeah,
okay.
so I'm down there. And that's been a big help for us because we're a small team, and it's a 30-box barn. So it's ideal for us.
It also has live-in facilities too.
Yeah,
and the live-in facilities are stunning.
I'm staying in the flat upstairs to save money at this stage. So yeah, that's worked out, and it's okay because I'm a single bloke, so it's easy for me.
Yeah, it's have you been into the accommodation facilities?
Yeah,
the group facilities as well are also world class.
Yeah, I visited the Goose once.
Yeah, I'd like to
set up a palace there.
I'd see.
Yeah,
if
it is.
You can. It's
Louis'
smart.
place is fantastic.
I would like to see if I can't move it. It'd be lovely. You open in the morning, you look at the beautiful view.
Talking about beautiful view this morning, there was a stampede at Ashes this morning.
What happened?
It was about 40 zebra and 30 wildebeest went bloody hurtling down the side of the track there. It was quite interesting to
How's
watch.
everybody at Ashburton? You
Grumpy
Ashburton Mayor?
Yeah.
Grumpy as usual, eh?
Yeah.
Well, they had a couple of winners there over the past week or two, so they should be all right.
Yeah, nice at a winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Running freely.
Yes, it's not your son's podcast. It's your podcast, but it would be remiss if we didn't touch on him and your two daughters as well. Let's start with the girls first. What do your two daughters do?
Okay, so the girls are both in the UK. They've been there for a few years now, and they seem to have settled down. I'm very proud of them to have taken a leap and gone over there, and they've stuck it out, and they seem happy. They're also going through tough times in the UK at the moment with the economy and so on. But very happy, very, very happy for them. So.
And then, of course, our good friend and South African ambassador, was it ever, I mean, from the day he was born and when he grew up with you and obviously your wife at the time, and was there ever a time that it wasn't going to be racing for him?
Yeah, I wasn't overly keen, to be perfectly honest. I mean, he used to ride bikes and ride the ponies round. Of the three kids, I think that at the time the most natural rider was actually the eldest, Tegan.
Okay.
And Lyle sort of grew into it, became very good. But I mean, he always had a love for horses, as all three of them did actually. But I mean, later years, he was so clever at school. I thought, well, he could pretty much be anything. But he had his heart set on riding, so obviously follow your dream. And myself and his mum, Samantha, we helped him, as best we could. And he's done pretty much. Well, he used to come all his holidays, like I used to go on my holidays, come all his holidays to track and ride work, and learned that way. And I was still riding at the time. So, yeah, that's how he's gone on, and he's progressed above and beyond.
I'll never forget sorry to interrupt you because I'll forget, because there's nothing wrong with my memory, George. I'll never forget, at Hollywood Bet Scottsville, well, it wasn't Hollywood Bet Scottsville at the time, it was Scottsville, so many years ago, and Barbara Kennedy was there, and I'd been watching this chap, Lyle Hewitson. I didn't know who he was, and the work riders races, and I said to Barbara, who is this guy? And she said, well, would you like to meet him? I said, I'd love to meet him, for goodness sake, to congratulate him on all his achievements. So I go upstairs, and I bump into him upstairs, and I introduce myself. He introduces himself, polite, like you cannot believe, upstanding. And I said to him, you schooled? He said, yes, now I'm at Kearsney. You like Kearsney? You were at Kearsney?
No, I'm not Kearsney. Went to a proper school.
Okay. Kearsney, I said, okay, so you're still at school? He said, my mother and father have told me till they're blue in the face, I can do what I like, but I'm not getting away with, I must have my matric.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably stood him in even better stead.
Well, he excelled. He ended up getting distinctions and everything, so that's when I thought maybe he might change his mind and do something else. But anyway.
Was there ever even a debate, Carl?
No.
Did he never say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pilot?
No,
nothing.
no.
It was never a debate.
No.
It was horses.
Yeah, he'd obviously thought about other things, but no, it was never a debate.
Okay. I heard, where was it, who were we interviewing? Somebody the other day. And it was Dee's Dynant, I think, interviewed Greg Bortz in the parade ring. Said, welcome to the races. What do you think of your horse's chances? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'm lovely to be at the races. He says, but unfortunately, I've been bitten by the disease. I've got African horse sickness. Yeah. And that was a great chirp, because that is exactly what it is. We've all got that disease. Yeah. We've all got African horse sickness. We're sick for the game. And with your son, it was...
I must congratulate Lyle. I mean, to go back to Hong Kong after that dreadful start, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we had...
let's elaborate on that. Elaborate on that.
That takes guts, eh?
And he pretty much had a dreadful start again when he went back this time too.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't pan out the way he had. An early winner, and then it just all went wrong.
So it's they're very luck orientated, superstition. Is that really happening?
What I couldn't understand, he had a bad trot in Hong Kong, and then he went to Japan
and fired.
Killed it.
Fired.
Yeah.
And then I was reading I think I've told you before, I was reading a piece about Christophe Lemaire, who's regarded as the best jockey in the world at the moment. And the one question they asked him is, who do you think is the next superstar in racing? He said Lyle Hewitson. I
saw that, and Lyle was very proud of that moment.
Yeah.
He actually sent it to me. It was fantastic.
Fantastic.
No, he's just, he's just a pleasure to talk to, a pleasure to deal with. Media. He's just a sharp kid. He's just down to earth, and really, we wish him all the best.
Well, this trip this time round, was. No. Like, he wasn't originally going straight to Hong Kong. He was supposed to be going. He got given a 3-month stint, but then the COVID hit, so he was sidelined, couldn't get out. They wouldn't let anybody over there, and then he ended up going straight to Hong Kong. So he missed that 3 months where he could have bounced off that into Hong Kong. It might have helped him a bit more, but I mean, he seems to be kicking on now.
Yeah, kicking on. Well, for Dougie White as well, and kicking on now.
Yeah, it's great.
It's good, the South African connection.
Warren,
yes.
Just before you continue, I just want to ask Mr. Hewitson here, what do you think it is that you did as a parent that helped him to be successful? Like, do you think that there's a style of parenting or a method that you used? What is it that you think?
Just support.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Your kids have got dreams and you want to support them, that's all you can do. I mean, okay, he had the advantage of myself being able to ride, and his mother, very good polocrosse player. So that all stood him in good stead. So, I mean, he got to learn. He was very good at polocrosse, and he was pretty much an all-round sportsman. And, that's all you can do. That's all you can do is support them. And if you can help in any way, like I said, with the riding side, for as far as we were concerned, yeah.
What was the reason, Carl, for that you you persuaded him? You were happy that he wanted to go riding, but he had to get his matric. Just in case it didn't work out for him? He's got a bit of a weight issue, maybe?
No. Look, racing I don't have to tell you, is a fickle sport. So, and there's so many jocks around that I know are battling to make a living.
Sure.
And it's tough for them. So I didn't want him to be in that situation.
Okay.
So he had something to fall back on. Excuse me, which would have been his education. It was a very good one. Yes. So he could have walked away and done something else had it not worked out the first couple of years. Sure. He was still young enough. He still is now.
Sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you go to a good school, they actually instill good manners into you, and that always stands you in good stead.
Respect and good manners. I loved interviewing him. I really did. And when he comes back, I'll continue. In fact, when he comes back, I'm sure he will. We'll have him on the podcast. But yeah, he's just lovely to listen to and lovely to talk to. He recently got married.
Yeah.
That's a recent. He's been. Tell us about that. Is your daughter-in-law? And
Yeah, well, that was I found out actually on Gold Cup Day up here last year. I think I was the last to know. So I don't know how it came about. His mum was up here as well, and we were talking about him getting married, and then I think it might have been Hannah turned around and said, it was. And she said, "Didn't you know?" And I said, "No, what?" She says, "We got married about a month ago." I went, "Oh, okay, great."
Yeah, bastard, didn't invite me to the wedding.
Exactly. But that was all due to with them having to go overseas and just making the transition that much easier, you know.
Yes.
So it made sense. We had spoken about doing it that way, and then there's plenty of time for a wedding or a party some other time.
so that's still to come. Weddings and parties. Party, the celebration, and then of course it's still young for kids. I mean, the way he's travelling and all that, he's not going to. Obviously, kids are not on the immediate horizon.
No, I don't think so. I think he's going to kick on with his career, and Han's fully behind him.
Okay.
I mean, she's as much a secretary as anything else.
Okay.
Like when she was here, she'd run him to races, so he wouldn't have to stress about those kind of things and pick him up from the airport. And now she's out there just supporting him.
Okay, no, fantastic. Let's talk about your stable now. I want to talk about your racing establishment. You talk about communication with owners. You've been around the country. You've been around the world. It's important, and I know that you give that experience to owners. You're on the voice notes. You're on the videos. Your stable's open to new patrons, and you are open door policy. For you, communication is key.
Yeah, I got to admit, I'm the worst with videos because I never seem to get the videos right. I'm not very good at it at all. But when I do, I send them and I get plenty of complaints about them. But I mean, at least you've got one, you know?
Absolutely.
You make of it what you will.
Tried,
yeah, at least I tried. That's pretty much it. Look, because I'm at the track on my own, and what I have found, I know it's difficult for an owner to understand. If you're videoing, you actually miss the work.
Well, I agree with you 100%.
You go back and you watch the video and you don't see what you think you should have seen. So when you're actually watching, it's a massive difference.
Yeah.
So
Good
you need
point.
somebody with you.
Good point.
You better get your head groomed to work out.
Yeah,
with the camera
that's it.
there.
You need
That's
someone
a good,
to do it
it's a
for
good
you.
point. I did it this morning for one of our partners, and it was. I can't tell you how the horse worked. I looked at the video.
Yeah. Well, you find yourself you're like this, you know.
Correct.
So by the time you finish, it's all over the place.
place, yeah.
You've got half a horse.
I tried to do it the other day. I got the wrong horse. So.
Yeah.
but barring the videos.
Yeah, barring the videos,
You're on the phone. You're on
I
the
try and
blower,
communicate.
you've got voice notes, and you.
Yeah.
You know, and okay. And how many horses have you got? You got a barn of 30.
Yeah, I've got 20 in at the moment.
20. So 10. Do you welcome another 10?
Oh, that would be great. Well, I welcome someone to buy my 9. So, yeah.
That's also a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good tip, yeah, to buy the 9.
Yeah, it would be easier.
And yeah, and just your plans is just to be competitive. You say your horses are consistent. You know, you plugging away, and you know, an owner would consistency is key.
Yeah, look, my horses I own personally have been running well. And I'll put it out there, anything you see running in my colours is on the market for the right price. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I've got a 2-year-old. She's running now this weekend in the Group 1.
Yes,
Eau de Vie.
Eau de Vie, yes,
Yeah.
that's done very well.
Yeah, and she was a cheapie last year at Nationals. Actually bought 3 there, and I've still got them.
Well, at least Eau de Vie
I've got 2 of them full, and Mike and Laura were kind enough to take 90% of the other one, so that was okay. But yeah, I've been lucky with her.
Eau de Vie, absolutely. 3
Yeah.
starts for, I think, 1 on debut, didn't
She
it?
won. She ran 4th, and then she ran 3rd in Strelitzia last time.
Jeez, what a
So, and
pleasure.
she's not a sprinter, but I mean, she can just about hold her own. She'll
Yeah.
be much better over ground come July Day or Gold Cup Day, you know, when they go a bit further.
Ah, fantastic. Okay. What else have we got here? It's interesting to hear about Carl's whole journey, and obviously, you know, you say you're on your own, you stay on your own. Are you much of a loner? Are you happy in your own space, in your own time, or I mean?
I am actually pretty much. You know, you finish work, especially now this time of year. You don't pretty much feel like going anywhere. It's dark before you know where you are.
Yes.
And I don't see too good in the day, never mind the dark. So it definitely doesn't suit me to go out of an evening.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got a cracking team. the lads that are with me, barring 2, have been with me from the day I got here.
Okay.
And obviously I landed here with no staff, so I had just a bunch of chaps turn up at my gate, and took a flyer. Obviously people nobody else wanted, and they're still with me, and we get on good. And I've got the physio Tash comes in and helps when she can. She's actually registered as my assistant. She's a massive help when she can get to the yard, but I mean she's all over the place as well. She's got her own job. I've got my head groom, Onki. He's been a little bit of a revelation. I didn't think he'd step up like he has. He's been very good. I thought he was just one of the lads, and he's really stepped up to the plate.
What's his name? Honky?
Onki.
Oh, Onky.
Yeah,
Onky.
Okay. He's very good. Yeah, so I'm hoping he can progress more and maybe get a what do they call it? Not an assistant, the one before.
Stable employee.
Stable employee.
Yeah, stable employee.
So I'd like to get him on that path.
Carl, this show is not a tipping show by any means. Andrew and I often talk about horses that we like to follow and what's coming up, and you've got a couple of runners for the weekend, so let's go through them. And,
Sure.
Just as I said, it's not nobody's looking for a can't lose, have a bet.
No,
just how
no
they're
problem.
doing and how their well-being is.
Yeah.
Brainwave, it's unraced, is it? Brainwave?
Yeah, it's his first run. That's Mike and Laura. I'm not expecting too much, but I don't think he'll disappoint. He won't disgrace himself. I'm hoping not. Carl's been riding in work. He's happy enough with his work. He's a lovely little horse and probably one to follow for the future.
Space News, now, fairly consistent Space News if I'm thinking of the same horse.
Yeah, he was out for 6 months. I had to do a knee-op on him, and ended up very successful. He's mine on my own as well, and he's won me 2 and several places. Been unfortunate not been able to get enough racing, like you were saying, Andrew, at Scottsville for those kind of horses. And this is a bit on the short side for him. He wants 2,000 plus. 1750 is a little bit quick for him.
Chelsea Flower. Now, the good old Manfred Rower, Dr. Manfred Rower, has got a share with a whole bunch of potters, and
he was
very consistent.
He was kind enough to buy in. She won her maidens for me, and then Manfred got involved with his whole family, and
That's right.
I was a bit worried the first couple of runs, but she wasn't really shaping, and then she won. So we're taking her out there. She's been there once before, but I don't think she was herself that time. So I'm hoping she'll run better out there this time.
Now, Mel's Princess hasn't won for you yet, but my, being consistent.
Yeah, knocking on the door. We're trying a bit of grounds. Myself and the owners seem to think that's the way to go. I know she looks like she pulls very hard in the race. I think she was just above herself. So, yeah, we're hoping that if she does stay, then she'll run a good race.
Do you remember that song, Raspberry Beret?
No.
Oh, come on, man. You should know music, man, from the 1920s. You're not that old. You're not that old. You don't know the song Raspberry Beret? Who sang it? Prince. Prince sang Raspberry Beret.
Yeah.
You've got another song, another horse, Is You Is or Is You
Yeah,
Ain't.
yeah.
How was that? You saw that horse in the running before? Is You Is or Is You Ain't My
Yeah.
Baby. But let's talk about Raspberry Beret.
Yeah, she won well when she did win, and it was out at Scottsville. So we've been fortunate to get back there. Her last run was below par, probably the course, whatever. I can't really put it down to too much. She's still maturing, but she's quite a nice filly.
Then we go to Odavi. We've touched on Odavi in
Yeah.
the podcast, but is this your first Group 1 runner since you've been on your own?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that you must
yeah.
be proud
Yeah, it's
and
lovely.
excited.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely for the yard. I've told them we'll have the biggest bride they've ever had if she was to win, but I think I'm pretty safe there.
No, I mean, you enter the race with a ticket, you've got a chance. So,
Sure.
okay, but fit and well leading into the race.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
excited,
Yeah, I couldn't be happier with her at this stage.
And then the last runner is Venturous.
Yeah, Venturous is the first reserve, and she's been really, really difficult. She won quite well. Then she ran third in handicap company with Carl on. Unfortunately, can't do the weight now. I would like to have had him back on. Should she get in, Ryan Munger will ride her. And I don't think she'll run a bad race if she gets in.
Now, let's talk quickly about the weekend's racing. We've got top quality. I mean, this is what it's all about. The first race is a maiden juvenile plate. Okay. My selection there is a horse called Mr. Henley. Have you heard of Mr. Henley?
No.
Tony Rivelin's horse. You need to look sharp. That's my selection or suggestion. The second race is a juvenile plate. The third race is a 75 handicap. The fourth race is a 73 handicap. And the fifth race is the Alan Robertson Championship, a Group 1 event. That's where Odavi runs. Samanga Kamala is going to ride. But it's as you say, it's a competitive field.
It's
as
a
Group
tough
1
ask.
should be.
Yeah, it's a tough ask.
Do you have an outright fancy? In case you want to refresh your memory, can you see there?
I'm trying to think what Miss Cool.
You tipped Miss Cool. Okay.
She won the nursery against the Colts in Joburg.
Trotted up. So certainly, and that stable there have got a strong hand with 3 good runners. And then, of course, there's Sweet Pepper, who's unbeaten of Sean Terry's. So that's going to be an exciting race. The 6th race is the Gold Medallion, another Group 1. I was overly impressed with that horse, Prophet of Cornet Species.
Cornet Species was won very, very well. And I think it's a bonus that he's won in Scottsville.
Absolutely. But again, not a walkover. There's cliff tops there imposing.
I see Thunderstruck, Sean Terry's one, put the blink. They put the lights out first time.
Yes.
And the lights didn't come on. But they put the blinkers on and he arrived the next time. So that might be a one to go.
Okay, then the South African filly sprinter Group 1. Carl, let me ask you this question. I mean, we all know how good Captain's Ransom is. I mean, she's just a champion. 1200 Hollywood Bet Scottsville, is that a concern for you as a supporter? I mean, I know you don't train her. I'm talking about
Sure. Well, if she was mine, I wouldn't be too worried because she's got class and plenty of class horses can have a sprint. If she's had a little break, she'll come back fresh. Yeah, I think it'd probably suit her.
And the way and at Scottsville 12 is it
It's
could be a 13-14 if you know. I mean, she'll be.
It's a tough 12.
Yeah.
Have you tipped her, Captain's Ransom?
Second.
Who did you tip to win?
I tipped Big Burn. I thought
Burn.
that running the computer form was excellent.
Yeah, okay. Those are principal contenders. And then, of course, the Golden Horse Sprint is a Group 1 race. Who did you tip there?
Well, if Cosmic Highway doesn't win, then you can just throw the bones because I don't think you can find anything.
Yeah. Have you looked at that field?
I haven't. No.
I agree with you. Cosmic Highway is certainly the horse to beat. Good Traveller's Marlurka there. I think Good Traveller's going to run well. And then the 9th race is a 74 handicap. So plenty of top quality racing action for you.
Yeah, I think your Pommy mate will when he win that last race.
Who's his Pommy mate?
Dixon.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Shell Seeker.
Shell Seeker. That was the one that ran first time and won first time.
Yeah, it hasn't run for over a year, but I think.
Was that the same horse that shame? I think it won and they made the race null and void or something.
No.
It was a horse that Mark Dixon told us the story. Where's Raheel? He'll remember. Raheel, could you come and join us on this podcast for a minute, please? He'll remind us.
Won very easily the first time.
But then shame.
She's good.
And then they had a bet. Mark was telling, he's told his owners, look, I think he's a nice type, and I think we can have a win. And it was she, if it's the same horse, and it won. And then they made the race null and void. Do you remember the race I was talking about?
What's that?
Mark Dixon, when we interviewed him the other day, put your microphone close to your mouth. We interviewed Mark Dixon about a horse that ran first time and won first time out.
I think it was Shell Seeker.
Okay, and it won and then it was null
and void. Yes, because there was some interference at the starting stalls, I think, or something.
Okay, so it was Shell Seeker.
Shell Seeker. I think she runs this weekend as well.
Correct.
That's
it. Talking about the Group 1s quickly, 1 or 2 horses that you like in the big ones?
Sure, it's tough, Warren. It's tough. I like a bit of Sweet Pepper in the Alan Robertson. I think she's going to be a nice horse.
Yes.
And she's 2 from 2. Of course, there's Amina as well from the Glen Cotton Yard. So I think those are 2 interesting horses in that race. And then for the main one, the Golden Horse Sprint, Cosmic Highway, there's lots of talk about him. And so possibly he could be the one. But I'm just looking forward to some thrilling racing action over this weekend.
It's going to be good. Thank you for your contribution, and go and enjoy your breakfast. We'll join you just now. Cosmic Highway, you fancy that?
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of class. I think Dean has been trying to get him to stay the mile, and he doesn't quite see it out. I think this is his right distance.
And that stiff 12 will help. Oh, it's a 12, isn't it? But now this youngster, that's why I asked him about Shell Seeker, because he's got a much younger brain than you and I.
Yeah,
he certainly has.
Definitely
has, and enthusiastic youngster too. He certainly he's got a lot of questions to ask, which is good. That's how you learn.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
He's enjoying it. Okay, then there's a bus going up from Hollywood Bets Greyville to Hollywood Bets Scottsville. Hop on the bus. Graham Hawkins, your host, and a good idea, I think.
No, definitely. If we can fill the bus, the more people on course, the better.
Yeah, I think
it's one fill, so it's $100, and if you punt properly.
And it saves you stressing in the traffic too.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, yeah. And you can have 1 or 2 beverages and don't have to worry. Talk about on course, getting people on course. Andrew, I'll start with Carl. I mean, no, I'm not being funny, but our on course attendance is starting to get a little bit better. I mean, obviously midweek people are working Mondays, but even the Monday and Wednesday meetings have been well attended.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it when you come on course. I mean, from when we had the COVID and it was like a morgue, it was awful.
Oh, terrible.
And now, you can definitely feel the atmosphere. even a Friday night. The Friday nights when we moved their meeting,
Yes.
that was a bit of a hit.
Yeah,
There was a lot of people there then. I mean, I think there's people doing different things at the races, like they've got, what do they got?
The flea markets sort of
Conferences and that, but I mean, they're there.
Yes,
They're there,
yes,
and you
yeah.
can't help but turn your head and turn and watch a horse race, you know?
Absolutely.
So it all helps.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think everyone in the powers that be are doing the best they can at this stage.
Yeah.
So
The flea market was
Well,
good,
there's
is
been
good.
People on course. I know a friend of mine was at Kenilworth the other day. He said he was the only person there.
yeah, it's terrible.
Felt a bit lonely.
It was lonely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like you say. You look at overseas racing, like in the UK, and you'll see a Plumpton meeting,
Yes.
and it's chock a block. They're there hanging over the rails. I mean, you think, well, don't these people ever work? Or what, you know?
Yeah, I
And it
think
costs you a few bob to get in too.
and every race meeting, every race course you look at, it's just full.
I'm
crazy.
very proud of the Gold Circle social media and marketing media team, because they've gone out of their way to. I mean, you watch everything on your cell phone: interviews, podcasts, tips. Not tips. I don't like to use that word. Tips, suggestions, and selections from all the trainers. They share their pages. It really is just
But you
great.
just wonder how it works. I mean, there's a thing on what's it? The Sporting Post. Not Sporting Post. What's the thing? UK one.
Racing Post.
Racing Post. They're doing comparisons of courses and how much to get in and what it costs you for an afternoon's racing. And I mean, you pay 30 quid just to walk into the.
That's a
walk
bit
into
harsh.
the thing.
That's a bit harsh. That should come with a lunch, you know.
No, but the lunch is 10 quid.
Yeah, but that's wrong. Something like that should come with a lunch, and you'll get the people in.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got to pay X amount at the door and say, well, lunch is on us as well,
Yeah.
you're going to get them in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Interesting. What is your before I close the last? It's going to be it's shorter than normal, and because you're busy, and last week's one was a long one. But what I wanted to ask you, Carl, in closing, the industry at the moment. I mean, yes, we know owners are hard to come by. It's tough, but how's your feel? What is your gut feel? Are we going to be okay? Are you still remaining positive? Are you here fighting to the end? Tell us about your feeling of the industry's future.
You've got to stay positive. Like I said before, Warren, if you don't, you might as well throw in the towel now. There's no point walking around, dragging your feet in and moaning at everything that's going wrong. I mean, there's plenty that goes wrong for us guys here, plenty. But you just bat on. That's all you can do. The feeling, I really don't know. You do worry.
Of course.
You do worry, but like I say, you can't walk around worrying about it all day. You just have to keep doing what you're doing and hope that things do pick up. That's pretty much it.
That's it. Fantastic. What else can you tell me? You've been really quiet.
No,
You're happy?
I'm always quiet.
Will you be suit and tie at the races on Saturday?
I think I'll dispense with the tie, and I can't put my jacket on because I think it's shrunk.
You're probably too hot anyway.
Carly, you're going to have to be dickied up with
I'll have to,
Group
yeah.
1 runner. You
Yeah,
have to be.
own a trainer.
And a trainer. Well, I hope that we'll be interviewing you, or at least
24 degrees, I see, so it'll be a nice warm day.
Yeah.
24. Well, so not too hot that you can't wear a
perfect.
jacket. Be perfect.
I can't wear a jacket.
Well, you can't because
Doesn't fit.
you've only got one, and you've got a bit
Only got
broad
one
around the edges.
I'll put on a bit of condition.
Yeah, and
Well-
I'll see if my horses run bad, I'll just have to give myself a good talking to. That's all I can do.
At least you haven't got to, when you drive home, you won't have to get on the phone to the owner and explain.
Well, I always joke because I've got two phones. I phone myself on the other phone and give myself a good talking to. So, yeah.
Let's hope that owner V and all your runners run well for you on Sunday. And
Yeah,
and
let's
your
hope so.
stable goes from strength to strength because, a small stable, and there's a lot of small stables in the country and a lot of small stables that can produce the results, and you've proved it time and time again. So to you and your family and your team and your daughters and Lyle, thanks for your time. And
Pleasure.
let's just hope it goes from strength to strength, and it's been lovely spending an hour with you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Carl. Thanks very
Andrew,
much.
that's a wrap. Then we'll see you on Sunday. That's a wrap from us. It's been an absolutely pleasure talking to Carl, and he's going to go off and sort himself out, and we wish him well for the Group 1 race on Saturday. We'll be at Hollywood Bet Scottsville. From Andrew Harrison, Cole Hewitson, Warren Linferno, Tawana Talavinga, and the whole team that makes this production possible. All the best. Stay safe. Be nice. And we'll see you, as always, before we end. Don't accept anything on my Instagram. I've been scammed. Did you see that?
You've been scammed, but other than you haven't got any money in the account.
Come to scam me, but I was crooked
they
and
could have-
robbed Oh, don't let me find that person. Don't let me find that person. You know, I laughed the other day. I was talking to one of my mates. I said, you know, in the old days, I was surrounded. I was in the hotel industry. I was surrounded by chefs and pastry chefs and sous chefs and laundry assistants and everybody, you know, who couldn't get into a rort, you know. Nowadays, I'm not in the hospitality industry. I'm in the gym. I'm in the boxing business.
I was watching that video that you sent me. I'll tell you something. You better not go into the ring with anybody who can actually box.
Are you trying to say that I'm no
You
good?
use this bloody roundhouse punches like a bloke will come and just pot you on the nose, man.
I was half dead. I was exhausted. I could hardly breathe. I was trying to breathe through every orifice that was available. And the instructor was saying, you know, was pushing you, keep going. If I kept going for one more minute, I would have fainted. But I'm not normally that untidy, but it is. I just wanted to show you that I was doing some exercise. But anyway, I'm now in the boxing industry as well as the racing industry. If I find the person who's hacked my Instagram account and sending out terrible things to everybody, sending out terrible things to telling everybody that I invested 5,000 and got 27, what a load of nonsense. So I've been scammed. So don't follow anything like that. And if I find the person, well,
he's safe.
I said if I find him,
I said he's still safe.
Be safe, all of you, and we'll see you as always from the number one box. Get up to Hollywood Bet Scottsville on Saturday because the public is welcome, and I can tell you there's top quality racing.
We'll be right back.